This is a WebBrick 7, and between the WebBrick 7 and the WebBrick 6 there are about 1,800 made, and they found their way into all sorts of home automation systems. Now, the WebBrick itself is very reliable, all except for one component, which is the NetMedia SitePlayer, and that's the component that connects the WebBrick to the Ethernet port. And today I'm going to show you how to change that SitePlayer. Okay, so before we get started with the actual SitePlayer replacement, it's important to talk about safety. Now, WebBricks have two ends. They have the red end and they have the green end. At the red end, there's likely to be mains voltage, and if you end up touching it, it's very hurty to lethal. So unless you're a trained electrician, you don't go anywhere near this thing when it's live. And the other thing to remember is that it's got a combination of triacs and relays in it, and that means that it could be supplied from two different places. So something like a volt stick here is very useful. You can run the volt stick along here and along here, and if it beeps, it means that you've got mains voltage on it. Now, in this particular case, I can tell from running along here and along here that this one has no mains voltage in it at all. So when you're disconnecting it from the system, you need to disconnect the 6 connectors here, taking care not to break any of the connections, and then you need to pop it off the DIN rail. Now, depending on whether you're on a 6 or a 7, they've all got this sprung loaded clip here, which you can see when I turn it around at the back, but you'll see it from the front. Most of them, except for some of the very early ones, are at the bottom, so you can just take a screwdriver and just pull that clip down, and as you pull that clip down it will just pop this way off the DIN rail, and then you've got the WebBrick free in your hands. Now, let's get it open and have a look at the SitePlayer. The best way to do it is to pop the clip at the end furthest away from the Ethernet port. So if you pop it at this end first and then come back and pop it at this end like this, it will just tip forward and come out, and that then reveals the underlying PCB and the SitePlayer, which is this component here. Right, so the important thing about the SitePlayers is that either be the 6 or the 7 firmware, and you need to line them up properly. So let's just take this one out and have a look at it. So that SitePlayer has a white dot there, okay? So it's a white dot in that corner, and the SitePlayer carrier on the 7, and it's the same on the 6. The 6 has a white dot as well. There is a white dot here, and the two white dots need to be lined up. So we take our new SitePlayer and we go dot to dot and line them up and push it in like this. Now, the other thing to be careful of is that you've got all the pins in a line both sides, because occasionally I've seen these back with the SitePlayer one over, and that's been the only fault. Okay, that's the easy bit. The slightly tricky bit is getting the top back on again. So let's just go through the easiest way of getting the top back on again. So we take our top here and we tip our top this way round so it's tipped slightly towards the front of the WebBrick, and then we put our thumb in here and we lift the Ethernet port until it just slips inside. It just slips inside that little hole there, like that. Then we can push back and clip both ends. And the only risk that we've got now is that the SitePlayer is slightly high at the back. So what you can do, which I do sometimes, is just take a screwdriver and push it down to make sure that it's seated at the front and seated at the back, which this one is. And there you are, and there it was. That is the procedure for changing the SitePlayer on a WebBrick. The reverse is quite simple. You just take it back to the DIN rail, push this clip. In fact, most of the time they'll just push in and clip on. Connect the green end first, connect the red end, making sure it's not live, of course, then switch on the mains and enjoy. Thank you.